The silver spacecraft landed smoothly on the purple landing pad of Galactic University of Xenobiology. Located on planet Zentar, this was the most famous school in the galaxy for studying alien lifeforms. Today was special. For the first time ever, real human scientists were visiting to teach about Earth creatures. Professor Alan Wright stepped out of the ship and took a deep breath. The air was thicker than Earth's but safe to breathe. At 55 years old with gray hair and glasses, he looked like a typical college teacher except for his special field. He studied spiders. All his life he had researched the eight-legged creatures that many humans feared. Now he would show these aliens why Earth's small creatures deserved respect. "Professor, they're waiting for us," said Samantha Green, his 28-year-old assistant. She carried a large case marked with warning signs. Inside were some of Earth's most interesting specimens, carefully contained and still alive. They walked toward a group of tall figures standing at the edge of the landing area. The Zentarians were impressive aliens, standing 9 feet tall with hard outer shells like insects but colored deep blue. They looked down at the humans with 4 eyes set in a face that reminded Alan of a praying mantis. "Welcome to Zentar," said the tallest alien, bowing slightly. "I am Dean Kraz-Tool, leader of this university." His voice came through the translator device as deep and formal. "We are pleased to finally meet representatives of Earth." Alan nodded politely. "Thank you for inviting us. We're excited to share knowledge about Earth's biology." The dean pointed to 3 younger Zentarians standing beside him. "These are our top students who will work with you during your stay. Vexmar studies biology. Zilna specializes in alien cultures, and Rulkan is our military academy exchange student." Rulkan stepped forward, his outer shell gleaming with polished badges. He looked at the humans with all 4 eyes narrowed. "So these are humans, smaller than I expected." He tapped his hard chest plate. "Our bodies can survive acid, extreme heat, and crushing pressure. What can your soft bodies endure?" Samantha opened her mouth to respond, but Alan touched her arm, gently. They had been warned about Zentarian pride. "We survive in different ways," Alan said calmly. "Earth forced us to adapt to many dangers." Dean Kraz-Tool made a clicking sound that the translator didn't catch. "Come, we will show you to your quarters and the laboratory spaces you'll use." As they walked across the campus, other alien students stopped to stare at the humans. Most had never seen Earth people except in videos. The university buildings rose like giant purple crystals, connected by transparent tubes. Inside one large building, Alan and Samantha were shown a laboratory, prepared for their use. "This will be perfect for our demonstrations," Alan said, looking at the advanced equipment. He placed the specimen case on a central table. "We've brought several samples of Earth's most interesting creatures." Vexmar, the biology student, moved closer, his 4 eyes focused on the case. "Are these the dangerous predators of Earth? Lions? Sharks?" Alan smiled. "Actually, some of Earth's most dangerous creatures are quite small." He pointed to sealed containers inside the case. "These are arachnids, what we call spiders. 8 legs, most smaller than your finger." The 3 Zentarian students looked at each other, making clicking sounds that seemed like laughter. "You brought tiny bugs to impress us?" Rulkan said. "Perhaps humans really are as weak as they look if these are your dangerous animals." Zilna, the female student, seemed more polite. "What makes these small creatures special, Professor?" "Their venom," Alan explained. "Some spiders produce poison more powerful than any other creature on Earth. This one," he pointed to a small container with a black spider inside, "is a Sydney funnel web spider. Its bite can kill within hours." Rulkan made another dismissive sound. "No creature that small could harm a Zentarian. Our exoskeletons are impenetrable." "Perhaps," Alan said carefully, "but in science we should never assume without testing. These containers stay locked at all times. The agreement your dean signed requires strict safety protocols." Later that day, in a large lecture hall, Dean Kraz-Tool formally introduced the human scientist to hundreds of Zentarian students and faculty. On a giant screen behind them, images of Earth appeared. For many years we have studied human culture from a distance, the dean said. Humans are one of the few species who reached space despite having no natural armor, limited strength, and short lifespans. Their planet, however, contains remarkable biodiversity that may help us understand how different evolutionary paths create successful species. Alan stepped forward to speak. As pictures of Earth's animals flashed on the screen, he explained how evolution had taken different paths on their planet. On Earth, being the biggest or strongest isn't always an advantage, he said. Many creatures developed other survival strategies: poison, camouflage, speed, intelligence. Earth's deadliest creatures aren't always the largest. From the front row, Rule Khan interrupted. But surely your predators, your lions and bears, are most dangerous? Actually, mosquitoes kill more humans than any other animal, Samantha answered. Tiny insects that spread diseases. This caused a wave of clicking laughter among the students. Alan noticed Rule Khan whispering to his friends, making dismissive gestures. After the lecture, the dean hosted a formal dinner. While eating strange blue food that tasted like salty fish, Alan and Samantha tried to answer endless questions about Earth. The Zentarians seemed most interested in human weaknesses, how easily humans could be hurt, how short their lives were. Tomorrow, Alan announced, we'll begin practical demonstrations with our specimens. You'll see up close what makes Earth's creatures unique. As the human scientists left for their quarters, they didn't notice Rule Khan watching them with all four eyes narrowed, in thought. Those tiny creatures couldn't possibly be dangerous, he told his friends Vexmar and Zilna. I think humans exaggerate to make themselves seem more impressive. The professor seemed serious about the safety rules, Zilna said. Rule Khan tapped his hard shell. What could possibly hurt us? I think we should take a closer look at these famous Earth spiders tonight, without human supervision. The other two looked unsure, but nodded slowly. None of them realized that this simple act of curiosity would change relations between their species forever. 3 weeks passed at the Galactic University of Xenobiology. Professor Alan Wright's lectures about Earth creatures became the most popular on campus. Each day, more Zentarian students crowded into the lecture hall to learn about the strange animals from the planet called Earth. Today, Alan stood before a large screen showing close-up pictures of spider silk. Spider silk is 5 times stronger than steel of the same thickness, he explained to the amazed students. If we could make a rope of spider silk as thick as my thumb, it could lift a full-sized car. In the front row, Zilna raised her hand. Unlike many of her fellow students, she had become genuinely interested in Earth biology. Professor, how did such small creatures develop such advanced materials? Good question, Alan replied. On Earth, being small means you need special advantages to survive. Spiders evolved over millions of years, developing their silk as a hunting tool. From the back of the room, Rule Khan's voice cut in. Yet another example of how weak creatures must use tricks to survive. On Zentar, we value physical strength above all. Several students clicked in agreement. Rule Khan had become the leader of a group who believed the humans were exaggerating Earth's dangers. Samantha Green, who was operating the display screen, shared a look with Alan. During these weeks, she had spent many hours working with the 3 selected Zentarian students. While Zilna was becoming a friend, Rule Khan remained dismissive of everything human. After the lecture, Samantha met Zilna in the laboratory where they kept the Earth specimens. The alien student helped her check the sealed containers. I've never met anyone like you humans, Zilna said, her 4 eyes blinking in what Samantha had learned was a sign of respect. Your species survived on a planet filled with dangers without natural armor, Samantha smiled. We adapted in different ways. That's what makes Earth special. So many different solutions to survival. Zilna moved closer to the container holding the funnel web spider. The black spider sat motionless in its enclosure. This tiny creature truly causes death? To humans, yes. Its venom attacks the nervous system, Samantha explained. We've never tested it on Zentarian biology, and we don't plan to. That's why these safety protocols are important. As they worked, Vexmar entered the lab. The biology student had been quiet during most classes, watching the humans with scientific interest. "The dean wants to see you and Professor Wright," he told Samantha. "Something about planning next week's field trip to our nature preserve." Samantha checked the time on her device. "I need to secure the lab first." "I can finish here," Zilna offered. "I know the procedure now." Samantha hesitated but nodded. "Thank you. Lock everything when you're done. Remember, no containers opened without Professor Wright present." After Samantha left, Vexmar watched Zilna complete the security checks. "Rulcon thinks the humans are treating us like children with all these safety rules." Zilna finished the last check. "The rules make sense. We know nothing about Earth biology." "Speaking of Rulcon," Vexmar said as they headed for the exit, "he wanted us to meet him tonight after the dining hall closes." "Why?" "He didn't say, just that it would be educational." That night, the university campus was quiet. Most professors and students had returned to their quarters. The laboratory building stood dark except for security lights that cast purple shadows. 3 tall figures moved through the shadows toward a side entrance. Rulcon led the way, using a security card he had copied from one of his military academy instructors. "This is against university rules," Zilna whispered as the door slid open. Rulcon made a dismissive gesture. "Rules created for our safety against dangers that don't exist. I've watched the humans carefully. They are physically weak, yet they act as if their tiny creatures threaten us. It makes no sense." The 3 Zentarian students entered the dark laboratory. Motion sensors detected them and lights came on automatically. "We should leave," Vexamar said nervously. "If we're discovered, we won't be," Rulcon assured him, moving directly to the specimen case. "I just want to prove a point. These humans think we're ignorant. They tell stories about deadly little creatures to make themselves seem impressive." Zilna stood back. "The professor has been honest with us. I believe him about the spiders." "Then you're as gullible as the dean," Rulcon said. He studied the security lock on the case. "Look at these warnings. Extreme danger. Deadly venom. For what? Tiny bugs we could crush under our feet." Using another stolen security tool, Rulcon bypassed the lock. The case opened with a soft hiss. "Stop," Zilna urged. "This violates our agreement with Earth." But Rulcon was already reaching for one of the sealed containers, the one labeled Sydney funnel web spider extremely venomous. "Watch and learn," he said confidently. "I'll show you there's nothing to fear." He opened the container. Inside, the black spider moved slightly, disturbed by the sudden light and air movement. Vexamar stepped back. "You've made your point." "Close. It now." "Not yet," Rulcon said. With a quick motion, he tipped the container, letting the spider fall onto his armored hand. The small black creature scurried across his blue exoskeleton, confused by the strange surface. "See? Harmless," Rulcon laughed. "The humans wear protective gear to handle this tiny thing, yet it can't even bite through our natural armor." The spider, sensing danger, ran up Rulcon's arm toward the joint where his upper and lower arm connected. There, the exoskeleton was thinner to allow movement. "You should put it back," Zilna warned. "In a moment. I want to take a picture to show in class tomorrow." Rulcon held still as the spider paused at his elbow joint. "This will prove the humans have been—" He stopped, mid-sentence. The spider, feeling trapped against the joint, had struck with its fangs. By pure chance, it found a microscopic crack in Rulcon's exoskeleton, a small battle scar from military training. "Did it bite you?" Vexmar asked, noticing Rulcon's sudden silence. Rulcon flicked the spider away. It fell to the floor where Vexamar quickly captured it in its container. "I felt a small prick, nothing more," Rulcon said, examining the spot. "See? Not even a mark. Their deadliest creature can't harm us." They carefully returned the spider to its container and relocked the case, erasing evidence of their visit. As they left the laboratory, Rulcon walked with the same confident stride as always. Tomorrow in class, I'll ask the professor what their deadly spider would do to a Zentarian, he said. His face will be quite amusing when I tell him we already know the answer. Nothing. Zilna looked worried. We should tell them what happened and admit we broke the rules? Rulkan shook his head. There's nothing to tell. The spider is back in its case and I'm perfectly fine. The greatest warrior in our class, defeated by an earthbug? Please. As they parted ways for the night, none of them noticed that Rulkan's arm was beginning to twitch slightly where the spider had bitten him. The invisible venom had entered his system through that tiny crack, beginning its silent work as he returned to his quarters, still laughing about the humans and their needless fears. Morning came to the Galactic University of Xenobiology. Students filled the main lecture hall where Professor Alan Wright was scheduled to give a special presentation on predator-prey relationships on Earth. The room buzzed with excited conversation. As the Zentarian students took their seats, Alan checked his notes while Samantha set up the display screen. Large crowd today, he commented. Word has spread, Samantha replied. Even students from other departments are coming to learn about Earth biology. In the front row, Zilna sat looking nervous. She kept glancing at the door and checking the time. Next to her, Vexmar seemed equally uncomfortable. Have you seen Rulkan? Zilna whispered to Vexmar. He didn't answer his door this morning. Vexmar shook his head. Maybe he overslept. Dean Krastal entered and the room quieted. Professor Wright's lectures have become quite popular, he said to Alan. Our students find Earth creatures fascinating, even if they seem fragile compared to Zentarian life forms. Alan was about to begin when the rear doors burst open. Rulkan stumbled in, moving strangely. His normally perfect posture was gone. He swayed as if drunk, his four eyes blinking rapidly and out of sync. Sorry I'm late, he slurred, not feeling quite. He didn't finish the sentence. Instead, he collapsed in the aisle, his large body hitting the floor with a loud thud. Chaos erupted. Students jumped up, some rushing forward while others backed away in fear. Dean Krastal pushed through the crowd. What's happening? Rulkan, can you hear me? The dean knelt beside the fallen student. Rulkan's body began to twitch. Foam appeared at the corners of his mouth. His four eyes rolled back, showing only the whites. Call medical services, the dean shouted. Something is very wrong. Alan and Samantha exchanged worried glances. They pushed forward through the crowd of tall Zentarian bodies until they reached Rulkan. These symptoms, Alan said quietly to Samantha. They look like neurotoxin poisoning. A Zentarian medical team arrived quickly. They lifted Rulkan onto a hovering stretcher and rushed him from the room. Dean Krastal followed, pausing only to announce lecture canceled. All students return to your quarters until further notice. As the hall emptied, Zilna approached the humans, her face showing clear distress. Professor Wright, I need to tell you something. In the medical center, Rulkan lay on a treatment bed, surrounded by confused doctors. Monitoring devices showed his vital signs growing weaker. Dean Krastal stood nearby as the medical director examined the readings. I've never seen anything like this, the director said. His nervous system is shutting down, but we can find no cause, no injury, no disease we recognize. The doors opened and Alan rushed in with Samantha, Zilna, and Vexmar following. You, the dean pointed at the humans. What have you done to our student? Alan raised his hands. We've done nothing. But Zilna just told us what happened last night. Rulkan was bitten by the Sydney funnel web spider. Angry clicking sounds filled the room as the Zentarian medical staff reacted. Impossible, the dean said. Nothing so small could harm a Zentarian warrior. Our exoskeletons— He had a small crack in his armor, Vexmar interrupted. At the elbow joint from combat training. The spider bit him there. The medical director moved to examine Rulkan's arm. There is indeed a tiny puncture here, almost invisible. Earth spiders evolved, some of the most powerful neurotoxins in our galaxy, Alan explained. The funnel web spider's venom attacks the nervous system directly. In humans, death can come within hours without treatment. You brought this killer to our world, the dean accused. Samantha stepped forward. We brought it as a specimen, sealed and secured. Your students broke into our lab against all safety protocols. Zilna lowered her head. She's right. It was our fault. Rulcon wanted to prove the humans were exaggerating the danger. The medical director looked up from examining Rulcon. Whatever the cause, we must save him. How do you treat this on Earth? We have antivenom, Alan said, but it's designed for human biology. We don't know if it would work on a Zentarian. Bring it anyway, the director ordered. We have little time. His vital signs are failing. Samantha rushed back to their quarters, where they kept emergency medical supplies. She returned with a small case containing vials of clear liquid. This is the antivenom, she explained. But Zentarian biochemistry is different from ours. It could help, or it could make things worse. The medical team gathered around a display showing Zentarian and human biological information side by side. They compared nervous system structures, blood chemistry, and cellular responses. The molecular structure of your antivenom targets proteins in the venom, the medical director said. Our proteins are similar but not identical. We need to modify it, Alan suggested. Adapt it to Zentarian biology. For the next 2 hours, the human scientists worked alongside Zentarian doctors. They used the university's advanced laboratory to alter the antivenom's structure, testing small samples against Rulcon's blood. Outside the lab, word had spread across campus. Hundreds of students gathered, waiting for news. Many who had laughed at the weak humans now looked worried. If a tiny Earth creature could fell the strongest Zentarian student, what did that mean? Inside, Zilna assisted the humans, translating complex Zentarian biological terms. His condition is getting worse, she reported. The medical team says his neural pathways are shutting down one by one. We're close, Samantha said, studying test results on a screen. The modified antivenom is bonding with the toxin molecules in the sample. One more adjustment. Alan mixed chemicals carefully. If this works, it will neutralize the venom without harming his system. Finally, they brought the modified antivenom to Rulcon's bedside. The warrior student was barely breathing now. His normally blue skin had turned pale gray. We have no choice, the dean said. Proceed. The medical director injected the modified antivenom directly into Rulcon's main blood vessel. Everyone watched, the monitors waiting. For several minutes, nothing changed. Then slowly, one reading began to improve, then another. It's working, the medical director announced. The neural degradation is stopping. Relief filled the room. Zentarian medical. Staff hurried to adjust Rulcon's treatment. Outside, the dean announced to the waiting crowd that Rulcon would survive. Later, in a private meeting room, Dean Krazatul faced the human scientists. His manner had changed completely. I owe you an apology, he said formally. We underestimated your species and the life forms of your planet. No offense taken, Alan replied. Our worlds evolved differently. On Earth, danger comes in all sizes. A lesson my students have now learned, the dean said, particularly Rulcon, though at great cost. Samantha looked out the window where Zentarian students were talking in excited groups. Will he recover, fully? The medical team believes so, thanks to your antivenom, but it will take time. Zilna, who had been allowed to stay for the meeting, spoke up. This changes how we see humans. You're not weak as we thought. You survived on a world where even tiny creatures can kill. Dean Krazatul nodded slowly. Indeed. Perhaps there is more to strength than physical armor. He turned to Alan. Professor Wright, would you be willing to give a special lecture to explain how humans adapted to such dangers? I believe our entire university would benefit. I would be honored, Alan said. And perhaps this incident, unfortunate as it was, will lead to better understanding between our species. As they left the meeting, news came that Rulcon had regained consciousness. The crisis was ending, but its impact on Zentarian views of humans was just beginning. 1 week after the spider incident, Rulcon sat in his hospital bed. The strong, proud Zentarian warrior was much changed. His blue exoskeleton had lost its shine, and he moved slowly when the nurses helped him sit up. But he was alive and growing. Stronger each day. The door to his room slid open. Professor Alan Wright entered, followed by Samantha Green. Rul Khan looked up, his four eyes blinking in what the humans now recognized as embarrassment. "Professor Wright," he said, his voice weaker than before. "I did not expect a visit from you." Alan pulled a chair close to the bed and sat down. "How are you feeling today?" "Better," Rul Khan admitted. "The doctors say I will make a full recovery, though it may take several more weeks." Samantha stood near the door. "We're glad to hear that." An awkward silence filled the room. Finally, Rul Khan spoke again. "I owe you an apology. And my life. I was wrong about many things." Alan nodded. "We all make mistakes, Rul Khan. The important thing is that you survived." "Because of human science," Rul Khan said. "The same knowledge I mocked." He tried to sit up straighter. "I need to ask you something, Professor. That spider, on Earth, do human children live with such dangers all around them?" "We learn to be careful," Alan explained. "Most humans develop a healthy respect for potentially dangerous creatures. We teach our children which ones to avoid." Rul Khan considered this. "So even your young must be constantly alert, constantly prepared for danger that could come in any size." He looked down at his weakened body. "I never understood until now. Physical strength is not the only kind of strength. That's a lesson many of your fellow students are learning too," Samantha said. "Professor Wright is giving a special lecture tomorrow about Earth's evolutionary path. The entire university wants to attend. Will you tell them about me?" Rul Khan asked. "Only if you're comfortable with it," Alan assured him. "But your experience could help others understand the importance of respecting alien biology, no matter how harmless it may appear." Rul Khan nodded slowly. "Use my name. Tell them what happened. Perhaps my foolishness can prevent others from making the same mistake." The next day, the university's largest lecture hall was filled beyond capacity. Students and faculty from every department crowded in to hear the human professor speak. Dean Krastool introduced Alan with new respect in his voice. "Professor Wright will now explain how humans evolved alongside deadly creatures, and what we can learn from their adaptations," the dean announced. Alan took the center stage. Behind him, a giant screen displayed images of Earth. "On Earth we have a saying, 'Good things come in small packages,'" Alan began. "Unfortunately, so do dangerous things. The funnel web spider that nearly claimed Rul Khan's life weighs less than 1 ounce, but its venom is powerful enough to kill creatures hundreds of times its size." The audience was silent, hanging on every word. "Humans did not evolve the strongest bodies in our world," Alan continued. "We don't have exoskeletons like you, or claws like Earth's bears, or venom like our snakes. Instead, we developed something else, the ability to observe, learn, and adapt." Images flashed on the screen showing human history. Early humans fashioning tools, building shelters, creating medicines. "Because we were vulnerable, we had to become smart," Alan explained. "We learned which plants could heal and which would kill. We studied animal behavior to know which creatures to avoid. Every human child learns these lessons." He showed a picture of a small human child being taught to recognize dangerous spiders. Many Zentarians clicked in surprise at how small and defenseless the child appeared. "This is why we brought safety protocols with our specimens," Samantha added from the side of the stage. "On Earth, respect for biology is not just science, it's survival." After the lecture, students surrounded the humans with questions. The attitude had completely changed. Instead of dismissal, there was genuine interest and respect. Later that month, a formal ceremony was held in the university's Grand Hall. Rul Khan, still moving carefully but much recovered, stood beside Dean Krastool. On the stage, the dean addressed the assembled crowd. "Today marks a new chapter in relations between Zentar and Earth," he announced. "We have learned valuable lessons about judging other species based on our own standards. Physical strength is one form of power, but adaptation and knowledge are equally important. He turned to where Alan and Samantha stood. Our Zentarian Science Council has approved a permanent exchange program with Earth universities. We have much to teach each other. Rul Khan stepped forward. Though not fully recovered, he stood straight and proud. As the first student to experience Earth biology directly, he said, drawing a few nervous laughs from the crowd, I will lead a new research group focused on comparative biology. The audience clicked and hummed in approval. Rul Khan had been their champion before, admired for his strength. Now they respected him for his humility and wisdom. After the ceremony, Zilna found Alan and Samantha in the garden outside the hall. I wanted to thank you both, she said. Not just for saving Rul Khan, but for changing how we see your species. I think we've all learned something, Alan replied. Our worlds developed differently, but we can learn from those differences. Zilna nodded. The military academy has already requested samples of Earth venom for study, properly secured of course, and 20 Zentarian students have applied to visit Earth next year. Are you one of them? Samantha asked. I will be leading the group, Zilna said proudly. Dean Krastul selected me himself. 3 months later, as the human scientists prepared to return to Earth, the entire university gathered to say goodbye. Rul Khan, now fully recovered, presented them with a special gift, a beautiful crystal sculpture showing a tiny spider beside a towering Zentarian figure. To remind us that size does not determine importance, he said, and that respect must be earned, not assumed. Dean Krastul stepped forward with an official document. We have updated our university charter, he announced. It now includes a new principle: judge no species by their appearance, for evolution finds strength in many forms. As their ship prepared for departure, Alan looked out at the hundreds of Zentarian students and faculty watching. What had begun as a simple scientific exchange had become something much more significant. Do you think they're ready to visit Earth? Samantha asked, thinking of the many dangers their home planet held. Alan smiled. I think they're finally ready to see it with open eyes, not as superior beings, but as fellow travelers in the galaxy, with much to learn from each other. The ship's doors closed, and as they lifted off from Zentar, Alan thought about the small spider safely secured in the specimen case. Such a tiny creature, yet it had changed the relationship between two worlds. On Earth, good things and important lessons truly did come in small packages. 6 months after the events at Galactic University, a large Zentarian ship entered Earth's orbit. Inside, 20 Zentarian students prepared for their first visit to the planet they had heard so much about. Among them, Zilna served as group leader, with Rul Khan as her assistant. Remember the safety protocols, Zilna told the excited students. Earth has many environments we are not used to. Rul Khan nodded in agreement. Once the proudest military cadet, he now spoke with careful wisdom. What seems harmless may not be. What looks dangerous may be safe. Judge nothing by size or appearance alone. The ship landed at the International Space Academy in Arizona, where Professor Alan Wright and Samantha Green waited to welcome their visitors. The dry desert air felt strange to the Zentarians as they walked down the landing ramp. Welcome to Earth, Alan said, raising his hand in the Zentarian greeting gesture he had learned. We're honored to host the first official Zentarian student group. Zilna stepped forward. Professor Wright, we bring greetings from Dean Krastul and the entire university. We are eager to learn. The Earth facility had been specially prepared for the 9-foot-tall visitors. Doorways were heightened, furniture reinforced, and special quarters built to accommodate their larger bodies. During their first meeting, Alan explained the plan for the next 3 months. We'll start with controlled environments, then gradually explore more of Earth's ecosystems. Safety is our priority. Will we see the spiders? Asked a young Zentarian student, looking both nervous and excited. Eventually, Samantha replied. We have a complete arachnid research facility where you can observe them safely. Rul Khan touched the spot on his arm where the spider had bitten him. Though fully healed, he would never forget. Respect before curiosity, he reminded the students. That is our first rule here. The following day, the Zentarians began their Earth education in a large greenhouse filled with plants from around the world. They moved carefully, their tall bodies seeming out of place among the green life. Earth plants are so small compared to Zentars, one student observed, bending to examine a rosebush. But notice their adaptations, Alan pointed out. These thorns, these bright colors, these scents, all evolutionary strategies. Rulkan leaned down to smell a flower, then jerked back as a bee flew from it. The other students tensed, remembering his spider incident. Samantha smiled. That's just a honeybee. They can sting, but they're mostly harmless unless threatened. Small but important, Rulkan noted, like many Earth creatures. Over the next weeks, the Zentarian students ventured further into Earth environments. They visited a controlled rainforest biodome, walked along a clean beach, and observed a wildlife preserved from safe distances. Each day brought new discoveries and surprises. During a visit to the Arachnid Research Center, the moment many had been waiting for finally arrived. The students gathered around a special display room where various spider species were kept in secure habitats. Here it is, Alan said, pointing to a small enclosure. The Sydney funnel web spider that caused all the excitement, the Zentarians, leaned close to the thick glass. Inside, a small black spider sat motionless on artificial ground. It looked so ordinary, so unimpressive. Hard to believe something so small nearly killed me, Rulkan said quietly. One of the younger students looked confused. But why keep such dangerous creatures? Why not destroy them? Alan smiled. That's a good question. Many people ask the same thing. But every species has its place in our ecosystem. Even the dangerous ones teach us important lessons. Like what? The student asked. For one thing, Samantha explained, spider venom has helped us develop medicines. What kills in one amount can heal in another. Rulkan nodded thoughtfully. And they taught us about humility, about judging with knowledge, not assumptions. That evening, the Earth and Zentarian groups shared a meal together. The humans had prepared special Zentarian dishes using Earth ingredients. As they ate, conversation flowed easily between species that had once seen each other as completely foreign. I have an announcement, Alan said as the meal ended. Tomorrow, we're taking you to experience something unique to Earth. Rain. The Zentarians clicked in excitement. On their dry, controlled planet, natural rainfall was unknown. They had only read about it in Earth studies. The next day, everyone traveled to a special open-air facility in the mountains. Dark clouds gathered overhead, a weather system specifically tracked for this educational moment. Your exoskeletons won't be damaged by water, Samantha assured them, but the sensation may be strange at first. As they waited in an open field, the first drops began to fall. The Zentarians looked up in wonder as water fell from the sky. Soon the gentle rain was falling steadily. The alien students extended their hands, feeling the drops hit their hard skin. It's beautiful, Zilna said, watching the water collect on her blue arm. So simple, yet so important to Earth life. Rulkan walked a few steps away from the group, face turned upward to the rain. The water ran down his exoskeleton like tears. When Samantha approached him, she noticed he was making a soft clicking sound. Zentarian laughter. Is something funny? She asked. I was just thinking, Rulkan replied. On Zentar, I studied to be a warrior. I trained to face the greatest dangers in the galaxy. Then I came to Earth and was defeated by a creature smaller than my finger. Samantha smiled. And now? Now I understand that true strength is adaptability. Your species has no natural armor, no powerful limbs, yet you've thrived on a planet filled with dangers large and small. He gestured to the rain. You even learned to appreciate beauty in what could be threatening. Later that week, the Zentarian students began their own research projects. Some studied Earth plants, others focused on weather patterns. Rulkan, however, chose a different path. He worked with Earth scientists to develop new protective gear based on lessons from both worlds. His design combined Zentarian strength with human flexibility and caution. This suit will protect future explorers from both our planets, he explained during a presentation. It respects the dangers while allowing close study. As the exchange program neared its end, the Earth and Zentarian students held a special ceremony. Together, they planted a garden containing species from both worlds, a symbol of their new understanding. When we first met, Alan said to the gathered group, we saw only differences. Now we see connections. Zilna stepped forward with a small box. We brought something to leave on Earth, she said, opening it to reveal a crystal carving of the Zentarian and Earth symbols joined together, a reminder that knowledge shared makes both our worlds stronger. As the Zentarian ship prepared for departure a few days later, Rul Khan pulled Alan aside. I will never forget what Earth taught me, he said. About strength, about humility, about respect for all life. Alan nodded. And what will you tell others when you return home? Rul Khan looked out at the blue sky of Earth one last time. I will tell them that true power isn't in having the hardest shell, but in being willing to learn. From the smallest teacher